So I'm going to tell you about a practice I have just invented. And I'm going to call it vision boarding for the time being. And it's a way to structure or give structural validity to your deepest visions, your deepest wishes. Now, I'll call this a mission or a mream. What I mean is, we all have deep dreams, and I find these dreams, this is my point of view, because it's a very introverted thing, they're visions, points of view, literal perspectives, like something that you were feeling when you were looking out a window or at the sky, however many years ago or a few months ago, where everything makes sense and you can, it's almost like you can just see how the world should be or you want it to be. And they come in a flash. They're very hard to explain. It's like an image, an ideal, a hope of one day, a certain point of view. So what I did was I gave each of them, when I would just sit there with a pen, and when one came, and normally they're the same, they're quite specific as well. Like one was when I lived somewhere specific and I was walking back home and the moon was up in the sky and I looked and I was like, oh, life's amazing. I don't want to tamper what that vision actually was. It wasn't just that. All life, it wasn't just that, because we dilute our deep visions when we try and turn it into a communication that we can generalize. And that's something I'm noticing. Communication, especially as we do spiritual stuff together, is very, you have to generalize it, which means you have to sort of really dilute the vision that you have. And so what I did, because it's always nice to experiment, is I went very personal, and I gave each of these visions random names that are gibberish. You know, they're just like little names I invented. And I put them in, I made 22 in the end. And then what I did was looked at, you know, I was obviously, I've been meditating on these visions as well. And then my intention for this is to help people realize that we are all trying to awaken a very deep, subtle, illuminated hope, where we are living in a very deep dwelling of a world that we actually want to live in, that doesn't really map onto the reality that we have to constantly like pander to and put boxes in, oh, you know, our 3D reality. I'm understanding that at a deep personal level. But I've then given them names, but my mind's just sort of throwing that out there. So now I've said, okay, let's make a structure. So then I went out of my way to alphabetize them. Okay, now my mind's seeing this vision and going, oh, okay, this isn't just a random glimpse now. We're going to organize it in a new order, in an order. So I'm now saying, no, these are actually important. Let's actually pin these down a bit more, rather than just look at that and go, oh, it's a nice flash. So now I've alphabetized them. Now I've gone a step further, and I know the Hebrew letters because I've learned them. But you could do it with tarot, because I did 22. And if you know the 22 arcana, you can look at each of these visions that you've now named and say, which card does this correspond to? That's okay. That's all right, mate. Don't worry about it. I'm looking forward. Yeah. Oh, two, please, mate. Yeah, please, yeah. I'm just recording a video, but don't worry about it. Yeah, it doesn't matter. We're just talking. He's making dinner for us. So then I have now given it. I've now alphabetized them. So I've gone from 22 names, and now I've alphabetized them. So the mind's going, oh, you're now going to organize this stuff up. Okay, let's go with it. Let's see. Why not? What I mean is, I'm now saying these aren't just random sparks, because the spark comes in, but you can't put any, you know, like the vision or the dream that you've had, or just the feeling of a better world, you know, like in the specific context that you had. And I'm now saying, no, let's build a little card house out of this. I mean, let's give this internal world that I have received validity, structural validity, structure for my mind to hold on to. So, okay, let's do it. And then I wrote them down, and then I have alphabetized them, as I've already said. And I'm repeating myself, but that's fine. That's actually okay. And then I've then put each one with an arcana. So whichever one felt most like the Fool, I put it there. Whichever one felt most like the Magician, I put it there. And if you don't know tarot very well, and you just have to go by the arcana, you can just do that as well. Yeah.
I wonder if what was creating this like perception of early times is every time sort of party that you still can hear laughing and talking and chatting. It's just been like
nice, isn't it? Yeah, it's been really nice. I've heard a lot of coherence and a lot of coherent energy coming from over there.
Yeah, I felt this out the windows around. Yeah, it's nice.
It is really nice. Yeah, you could see it almost. Yeah. I don't know. Even. Yeah. So So I'm now, so yeah, each of the 22 arcana, yeah, they're balanced. That's what they're supposed to be. Balanced. So I organized them into the arcana. So I then put like a little Hebrew thing, because you just write the numbers of the arcana down if you don't know Hebrew. So I was like, okay, that one's the emperor. I'll put that one down. And then after that, I'm now thinking about my own personal visions and applying them to the symbols. So it's not just like I'm seeing it from the outside in, like trying to look at the symbols and going, what does that mean? And sort of just trying to put that in and sort of squashing my own inner experience. No. Let's start from the deep introverted, oh, that was a thing. And I'll write that thing down. Very specific, very vivid, visceral, personal. Can't explain it to people. Very very innocent, very childlike, very real, very sensory. So now I've done that, I'm now gonna, just to see if it adds more structural validity, write them down again, but not in the alphabet, but I'm gonna write them down in order of the tarot. So I've now written them down in a new order 22 times. And and that whole time I'm writing the names down again, and I'm meditating on the structure of each of them. So yes, please, Kaylin. Yes, yeah. And a bit some red onion and some green leaves, but you'd expect me to say something like that. Yeah, I'd love potatoes, but if you don't want to put, you can't do the, no, that's fine. Don't worry about it. some burgers would be fantastic, please. Thank you, dude. And if you need anything washed up. Okay. 9 minutes gone by. 10 minutes have gone by. Doesn't matter. So I'm starting from the real seed, not the abstract thing I've heard in books seed, but like the real seed inside of the deepest, like the most soulful, personal, actual dreamlike visions that you can't validate with external structures that come from books and people, because you're constantly trying to interpret it through this cultural grid of, I have to learn how to make sense to other people. But this is you do that all the time. You're you're telling your mind, basically, these inner experiences, I haven't got a place for them, even though they're the most vivid experiences I've ever had. So we're reversing that. We're starting from the innermost vision, and then writing a name for that, and then alphabetizing it, because that structure of the alphabet, of being a structure, is now is given to us, A to Z, right? We didn't, A to Z has been taught to us, and then we're adding the arcana, and then we're gonna, from there, we've now got a new structure that we can add, and we build up the structure from within, from the inner light, the subtlest light, that's real, your light. So
Maple.
we're doing that, and then
Maple.
so this
Got there.
has been very, very powerful, because I'm still going through it. Yeah. It's taught me a lot. Like, I can, and what's nice is that, because I'm an intellectual person, I think about it. I'm thinking about why it's good. That's good. It's good because people don't. We What's reason it's important is to be able to explain it. Is because everyone has this. Everyone has the inner light. The real inner, like their inner light, not the oh yeah, but, but the real personal thing that's theirs. That when you say theirs, it's not, well, I have to think about it in a general way. No. That's why we start with the meditation, the deep visions, and then we build a structure from that. So when we come back to our physical reality and we start doing stuff in our day to day, we can keep this structure there, and rather than it just come in and we don't, we just move it, we can learn how to. We now have a nice. We can now have a starting point mentally to work out how to map that on, because we've now given the visions a name, so we can go, okay, it's so and so today, it's that day, okay, that day corresponds, okay, well, I had this vision. I know that's not what I've been taught, because you can't teach the esoteric wisdom, but that name that I have corresponds. I feel that card in the context of how I've seen it. So I can now, okay, and then you can find stuff out that people have said culturally, or their visions, and see if it relates to you. And if it doesn't, it doesn't matter. If it doesn't, it's okay. But you've got a real authentic starting viewpoint now, that you've given structural validity to. You've reassured your visions that they must have a place somewhere, or at least we can now pay attention to them, and we can return to them. We've at least pinned them down, and now we've also, yeah,